Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the Bricks and Bleachers podcast, all things Chicago Cubs in under 10 minutes. Today is one of the greatest days of the calendar year. Opening day across Major League Baseball and for our Chicago Cubs. Man, oh man, another season is upon us. We're going to preview the season, make some predictions by the end of today's show. We'll also take a look at the Cubs' starting rotation. Take a look at a couple spring training highlights, the opening day roster, and other moves have been made across the National League Central. See how the division rivals are shaping up as we head into a brand new campaign. Biggest surprise of spring training is the demotion of Ian Happ. He's going to start the year at AAA Iowa. He did not have a good spring, and he has struck out a lot the last couple of years. Even big Ian Happ fans such as myself will admit that. In fact, he holds a dubious title. The two highest strikeout rates in a season by a Chicago Cubs player both belong to Ian Happ. I've been a fan of his since he was called up in May of 2017, but even I am on board with this decision. He took it hard, and most people would. I don't knock him for that. But hopefully he'll seize this opportunity to work on some things. Tommy LaStella went through this. He also took the news very unkind. And then he came back. He was incredible. Probably the best pinch hitter in Major League Baseball last year. If not, he was one of the top ones, and he was rewarded with a contract with the Angels during the offseason. So the absence of Ian Happ opens the door for Mark Zagunis. Might have heard his name before. He's been up and down between Iowa and Chicago in short stints since back in June of 2017. He came up to Chicago right after Ian Happ did couple years ago. So Zagunis, the fourth outfielder behind Schwarber, Almora, and Hayward. Of course, Ben Zobrist and Chris Bryant can play the outfield as needed as well. Cubs came into spring training with a lot of bullpen arms. Didn't have to cut as many as planned because of injuries, and Joe Maddon has a lot of bullpen options. And the final bullpen spot, that was probably one of the two spots on the roster that were left in question. Randy Rosario is claiming that last bullpen spot. He's a lefty. He's the alternate lefty out of the pen, the alternative to Mike Montgomery. You've got other guys like Kyle Ryan, who made a strong push for that final bullpen spot. He's going to start the year in Iowa. Familiar guys in the pen include Pedro Strop. He's coming back from injury, but he's good to go for the beginning of the year. You also got Carl Edwards Jr., Steve Cishek, Mike Montgomery, Randy Rosario, Brandon Kintzler, Tyler Chatwood on the roster after a surprisingly good spring. His 2018 campaign astronomically bad with the ridiculous walk rate, but Tyler Chatwood off to a good start so far this spring. And Brad Brock is available in the pen. He joined the team during the offseason after splitting 2018 with Atlanta and Baltimore. Infield for the Cubs, you got Bryant and Rizzo at the quarters, Javi Baez at short, Addison Russell still on the team, not eligible to play till early May. Then you'll see Daniel Descalso and Ben Zobrist split time at second, filling the hole left by Daniel Murphy's absence as he signed with San Diego during the offseason. You got David Bodie in the mix as well. Wilson Contreras is the guy most days behind the plate. Victor Caratini, the backup catcher. There was speculation in recent days. Cubs were evaluating outside options, but Victor Caratini holds on as the backup catcher. We've covered the bullpen. We've covered the position guys. Let's hit the rotation. John Lester, the opening day pitcher. We've known that for a while. Yu Darvish announced a couple days ago as the number 2 guy, followed by Cole Hamels. Kyle Hendricks at number 4, and then Jose Quintana in the 5th starter spot for the Cubs. Brandon Morrow and Xavier Cedeno both will find themselves in the Cubs bullpen at some point, both coming off of injuries, and we know Morrow won't be back until early May at the soonest. Joe Maddon with a plethora of arms available in the 8th and 9th innings, and that only continued to expand when guys come back to full health. So you'll probably see a lot of bullpen guys bouncing back and forth between Iowa and Chicago. That might be a way of keeping guys fresh towards the end of the season. Kyle Hendricks will remain a Cub through 2023, possibly longer. 5-year deal announced earlier this week with an option for 2024. We made predictions at the beginning of last season, and we did pretty well, especially with the win prediction last year. We'll make predictions for 2019 in a moment. First, a look around the National League Central Division. It's going to be tough. We say that almost every year, or at least the last couple of years we have. We saw the Brewers leapfrog the Cubs late in the year last year, and Milwaukee's going to be strong again. St. Louis will too. Let's start with the Brewers. They've got MVP Christian Yelich back, along with Lorenzo Cain, Jesus Aguilar, Mike Moustakas, the addition of Yasmani Grandal. Oh, yeah, Ryan Braun's still on the team. He would have been the leadoff Brewers guy mentioned a few years ago. His best days behind him, but he's still a big threat to the Cubs. But with the Brewers, they've got probably 4 solid starters, but the bullpen is a concern, and they've already lost a couple of guys this spring. So we'll see how the bullpen can be a make or break for Milwaukee. In St. Louis, a lot of optimism after missing the playoffs last couple of years. Paul Goldschmidt acquired during the offseason from Arizona. Not only did they acquire him, but they're able to keep him long-term. They just worked out a long extension with him. He'll be playing at first. Matt Carpenter moves over to third. At Colton Wong, Paul DeYoung, Yadi Molina, and others who have been a thorn in the side of the Cubs the last couple of years. The Reds and Pirates, both young teams. Reds very active, though, acquiring Alex Wood, Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp, all from the Dodgers, and one big deal, Tanner Roark and Sonny Gray joining the Reds' starting rotation as free agents. I think the Reds are going to be pretty good. Their most competitive year in a while. So let's go on record with some predictions, beginning with the Cubs. I say 91 wins. That's down from the last couple of years, but 91 wins despite the team being overall a better Cubs team. And they will make the playoffs, although a lot of folks say the division's wide open. No one is guaranteed coming out of the Central. I see that as well, but I say the Cubs win the division, 91 wins, Cards 2 games back, and the Brewers 4 games back of the Cubs. So Cards, Brewers, both in the high 80s with wins. I think the Reds are going to break 500 for the first time in a long time. Pittsburgh only a couple games under 500. Other predictions, Javi Baez will start and end the year at short. We know he starts there because Addison Russell is ineligible to play first few weeks of the season. I say Russell comes back. He'll probably get some time off and on throughout May, June, July. Then he gets moved at the trade deadline. They could go after an available second baseman. I'm not sure who that might be. But there is one other option, and this would be the other option that would keep Javi Baez from ending the season at short, and that would be this guy named Nico Hoerner. He's a hot prospect, good in a small amount of action this spring, so we'll see. If he can stay healthy, prove himself at Iowa, he could easily be in Chicago before too long. Let's see, other predictions we want to make. How about Javi going to the All-Star game? And either Rizzo or Bryant going there as well. Albert Almora Jr. will be an all-star. I think he picks up where he left off last year. Red hot. I think he'll get more steady playing time. Joe Madden pressed for more consistency with his lineups. I think that will happen. And I think the Cubs will get a pitcher or two to the All-Star game as well. I certainly hope so. And I think Kyle Hendricks is going to have a phenomenal year. Opening day baseball this afternoon. It's the Cubs and Rangers on WGN. First pitch 4:05 Eastern. John Lester and Mike Minor, the starters. You know John Lester. Let me tell you about Mike Minor. He was 12-8 with the Rangers last year. He was a 5-year starter with Atlanta, out for a couple of years. Royals used him as a reliever in 17, and then Texas picked him up, moved him back to the rotation last year. Friday an off day, 8:05 start on Saturday, 4:05 on Sunday. Cubs go to Atlanta and Milwaukee before the home opener Monday, April 8. I mean, really, look at this. 13 days. The first 13 days of the season, Cubs have 3 off days. They're all in the middle of 4-day, 3-game sets. You play one, you take a day off, then you play 2 more, then you move on to the next series. Not a fan of that. I'm not sure if that's meant to accommodate bad April weather. We shall see, but either way, I'm not a fan. All right, Facebook and Twitter. Find us both places, Bricks Bleachers. Also at bricksbleachers.com. We'll get back to regular blogging. We were pretty silent during this off season. We admit that. We'll get back to regular posting every series. We're pretty darn close to it with new episodes of the show, and we'll have a new sound for the show on the next episode as well. Hoping to break that out for opening day, but we're a little behind. So we have a little stripped down episode today. Next time around, we'll talk about what's going on the first couple days of the season. We'll preview Wrigley Field renovations and new food too. This is the Bricks and Bleachers podcast.